Michael Berkowitz, it's Rob Barrington. We're back here for another run at the weekend game, and these are my results above me. Michael, yours are very similar, and we're going to talk about the similarities and the differences. And I think the first board's probably one of them. But first of all, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. This is going to be fun, I think.
You had a good week this week, as did I. I mean, good is like not two bad results or more. Usually
I
I average two or more. So
I think I said this last week, but usually what I'm trying to do is like the most normal thing. And I feel like I accomplished doing normal things on almost all the
to
boards.
be fair, this week I did the same. I kind of went down the middle most of the time. I will do some weird stuff, and we've already we've chatted a little bit, folks. We haven't gone through all of our ups and downs. Well, I'm going to show you my down right here. My worst board, 29.8%. And this auction should be super normal, folks. 2 no trump by the South player. Partner transfers and passes. Partner doesn't have enough to bid Stamen because they can't pursue game with no points, right? So here, this is the correct auction. And I went wrong on this, Michael. Let me show you what I did. They led the King of Clubs, which honestly, this should also be the same lead. So when you see this hand, folks, don't panic. Don't say, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get everywhere? Just play it for as many tricks as possible. And my problem was I went for super gusto here and hoping everything was well. But if you draw Trump on this hand, you're kind of cooked, aren't you, Michael? They're going to lead clubs, clubs,
It's a weird hand,
and here's where you start.
Rob.
So that's the first three tricks. Club, club, club. You rough in your hand with the four, and now my play, as you can might predict, is I kind of went for the King of Spades being on side, drawing a couple rounds of Trump, and just taking a bunch of tricks and just letting them in at some point. But here, if you just don't touch Trump and you just start playing diamonds and roughing, coming back to your hand and roughing more, you're gonna do really well, aren't you, Michael, for down one?
Yeah, it's a weird hand type. You see this much more frequently when you're playing like low level, sometimes doubled contracts where they call it an elopement. You're trying to score your low trumps. Here, you didn't have to do that because you did have an eight card fit, but the same principle sort of applies of, well, we're going to lose a heart. Can we really set up everything in time?
And it's especially effective when your lefty's sitting over there waiting to pounce with King Jack 10 fourth of spades. Like here, you kind of are forcing out their honor every time because the dummy has those nice 9, 8, 7, 6 spots over there. So even if they are considering roughing, they're not really going to be able to accomplish much, right?
Yeah, it didn't have to work out, but it did in this
What was your
connection.
percentage for down one here?
Down one was worth
God,
76%.
I hate
It's a big
myself.
difference, I know.
It's just it's you know how like in the normal bridge tournament sphere, it's like day two, day three is when you're really saucy, feeling good about your bridge game. Like here, it's usually like board three, and I just booted this one right off the bat, and I have a nice card following this. That's the thing that kills me. It's
I
just
don't think what you did was crazy. The only issue with the finesse is
well,
you're
I
missing all of these spot cards, so
yeah,
you're
and
likely to have
I
some
kind of
problems.
just played for 3-2 trumps with the king on side, or maybe them just kind of getting something wrong in the offing. So I just roughed low, took a spade finesse, and now I'm just cooked from this point. In fact, let's take a look at the difference in double dummy there. They could have beaten me. Well, sorry, they still only have me down one. Where else did I go wrong?
Okay, so far so good. And
Oh, here
you
I'm
need to cash
still
the king of
good.
diamonds
Yeah,
before you
I
do
did. I
anything.
cashed the king of diamonds.
Okay.
And no, then I
I
played a heart.
Yeah, you have to
I
rest
just need to
the.
play a diamond here. So I still could get out for down one, Michael. This is doubly bad for me. So I'm just asleep at the wheel. And now they just draw both rounds of Trump
You
and
could
it's
just
all over.
score
Yeah.
your
So
trump in passant is what they call
showing
that.
en passant. Oh,
Fancy.
okay. All right, Mr. Chess, Mr. Chessman. Uh, let's go back to the beginning here. Just touch this deal. Boom. So there's me showing my behind on board number one. But the rest of the boards, I think if you did take the tack that we did, Michael, just playing down the middle, you get some reasonable auctions and chances to do well in the play.
Yeah, you were doing fine here until that end where you sort of knew the position.
Well, honestly, at the end, I'm sitting there just thinking it doesn't matter essentially at board one, and now after a couple sips of coffee, we get to board number two, and we see we see a hand that honestly usually wouldn't be bid this way by North in the modern game. The robot is kind of restricted to just bidding two hearts with this hand, like 6 to 9, 6 to a bad 10 with three or more hearts. This is honestly, it's a really good mixed race. It's close to being almost too good for that as well, just because it's a beautiful 7 high card points with 4 card support and a singleton spade. I mean, it's too
What
much
are
for
you
two
teaching
hearts.
these days? What major suit raises do you play these days?
Me, I would like some sort of mixed raise in there. So 1-3, I don't mind as mixed, and going from there, whatever you choose to do with the others. Bergen raises are what a lot of my students play, and I think those are really good ways to get a lot of information in your raise structure, because you know what it's like, Michael, sitting as the South player sometimes with like a reasonable 15 that's kind of unbalanced that you didn't open a no trump with. You don't know where to go. Having this raise structure built in kind of gives you a lot of ways to intuit how high to go. What do you
I
think?
confess that Larry still teaches this, and it's what I do. Is I teach old-fashioned regular raises. So I think that this is a tough choice of whether to bid two hearts or three hearts with this hand, because I might treat it as a limit raise. 4 card support and a singleton
Yeah.
is really a pretty good
I
hand.
mean, if I didn't have a mixed race possibility, I would probably trend toward the heavy side with this hand. I just think it's
Yeah.
too good for the
But
other action you consider there.
but I
Um,
certainly, if I were North, I would not be unhappy about how this auction progresses.
yeah, I remember in the junior house, which you're familiar with, even back in the day, everybody was saying, you have to have some sort of mixed raise for your major suit structure as many times as you possibly can. And honestly, that is, to be really clear on this, it is way more useful for expert level players. If you're learning the game, I think it's very reasonable to play what you know and what you remember within your partnership. And I think that's
Oh,
simplicity is usually best. We're rarely seeing hands that are this tight.
absolutely. And the other key part of that is just when you see a hand like this, and if let's say we gave ourselves the 10 of clubs, for example, and you said, "Oh, this hand just looks too good to bid two
Oh,
hearts,"
you,
and you
you
chose
mean
to
you mean up here, right there?
the 10 of
Yes.
clubs in the
Yeah.
north hand.
There you go.
You said, "Oh, my hand just looks too good to bid two hearts," and you chose to treat it as a three heart invitational limit raise. I think that's great. I think that's really the way to improve your bridge rather than worrying about the system, because Rob plays a different system than I play. And
Of
the
course,
truth
yeah.
is it doesn't matter. You don't have to have the gadget. You just
Exactly.
have to be able to evaluate your
I mean,
hand
the
and look
the
at it.
best player in my club growing up, the only convention we could convince him to play was Stamen. The rest was just garden variety, standard American, old school stuff, and you didn't need it. He was winning a lot
Yeah,
of times. So,
absolutely. Right about it.
but there's not much in the play. That's why we're kind of talking about the auction here. The hand kind of works itself out for the most
And
part.
and South is good enough to just jump to game. They don't want to
Oh,
muck
it
around.
honestly, it would have been more helpful knowing you had a 10 card fit, but obviously this hand is just so good. And the only downside is the singleton queen of diamonds, really. It's a wasted value, but other than that, it's a terrific hand. We'll see a different version of maybe some
If,
sort of
if
invitational
you're
possibility.
notice if your queen of diamonds was the queen of clubs, you might splinter and you might still get to to what would be a lay down slam.
Well, I mean, yeah, one heart, two hearts. You're talking 4 diamonds in this situation. If we kind of mix
I,
mash,
I wouldn't do it with
boom.
this hand with the singleton queen of
Right,
diamonds, but
right.
if you
But
made the
this, the hand that's kind of on there now, sure. But again, if you have a full structure of raises, you might not do that with even that hand, knowing how bad two hearts
yeah,
could be, I suppose.
and I think everyone should make six here, but you don't want to be in six because you
No,
needed to
it
take that club
the
finesse.
the club finesse needs to win, and also the club spots are quite friendly for you. In fact, the 10 reveals itself very early. Watch this. I think I remember this. I played this just not too long ago. I'm assuming you did too, Michael. There it
Yeah.
is. You play a low club to the
Oh, they
10,
played
like,
the
oh,
10.
thank you. Well, thank you very much. And the rest will work itself out when you take the finesse afterwards.
Yeah.
Number three, this was a really good time to know you had a 10 card fit as the South player. This was the auction. I had a heart, 3 hearts, and it went 4 clubs, can't really blame righty. I think double would be in the mix, though, don't you think, in a lot of spots with the East hand? Unless, I guess with 6 clubs, 4 clubs is something, but it's not for the faint of heart here, knowing that it's gone opening bid, limit raise, and you're red white, but the shape is quite good.
Yeah. I like doing something, and I'm not sure. I'm unhappy with all of my options,
Well,
as
you
you.
just you don't love when it goes 3 spades because you're wondering, and you really hate when it goes 4 diamonds. Sometimes I would guess with this hand. So,
Yeah.
but the for me, it seemed like an easy 4 heart bid, especially what you and I were talking about earlier before we came on. Sometimes the robot just gets these sorts of evaluations wrong when it gets to them. They won't bid 4 hearts when they should, or vice versa, for sure. So I don't mind bidding 4 hearts with this sort of hand, especially with a 6 card suit and ace king tight of spades.
Yeah.
Did you do the same?
I did bid the same.
Okay. And this is, again, not going to be too difficult to play, especially considering it goes very quick, drawing some trump. They get their two
This was
club
a
chips.
very bad play by West
Yeah, well, here,
because they should beat this.
yeah, yeah. Well, they just have to get the diamond tricks before we get the rest of ours, right? And here's the crucial play for North South. You can't take a diamond finesse, folks. And maybe this wasn't as clear as I laid
Yeah, I
it
was gonna
out to be,
say
Michael. Uh,
certainly I could see people going down by
yeah,
taking the
well,
diamond.
I forgot that this is the time you actually have to set up spades because right now, you can't lose another trick. So here's what you have. You have a 50% chance that the diamond finesse is winning, but you also have a potential chance that the spade suit is breaking evenly. So here we're going to draw trump. We're going to save entries to that side over there. And here's where I crossed in hearts, Michael, because you need them to be 3-3, basically. If they're not 3-3,
Well, you need two discards.
yes, exactly. So you need the spades to provide both of those discards for you. And in this case, I just claimed from this point because now we just cross to the ace of diamonds, play both spades, and there goes your 2 diamonds.
It's always good to look at those 5-2 fits first before you take any finesses. This
And
is a very classic example of that.
and it is you get the best of all worlds, right? When you test out the 3-3 break first,
Now,
working, no, take the diamond finesse. Talk to me.
I'm I'm going to make fun of you, and I did the same exact thing, and it's something that is very hard to realize, but it's a mistake, which was when the Ace of Hearts was played. You and I made the same
Yeah,
exact
we
mistake.
didn't unblock. I saw this as soon as I'm looking at the heart communication. I'm like, I know I have the 4 hearts in my hand. Exactly. There it is,
This
Michael.
is this is a small thing, but that
This is
and
when you know you're really paying attention. This is the third day of the Nationals when you play the 9
yeah,
or the 7.
it's a small detail, and it didn't
Yeah, very
happen to
fair.
matter on this deal, but it could have. If we only did one pitch from the spade suit instead of two,
Yeah.
we might have needed that four of hearts as an extra entry to the dummy later on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very, very good, Michael. Very good. And this is the
I
time.
did the same thing. I did the same exact thing and kicked myself. So I
Well,
figured
this is a perfect time for our weekly feature, Michael. A
Mhm.
minute with Michael Berkowitz. I'm going to give you the floor, Michael. I would like you to just talk about anything you want, non-bridge related. This is a minute with Michael Berkowitz. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, Michael. Anything you want.
Anything I want to talk about?
I'm
But
sorry.
it's
No, wait, wait, wait,
shipboard?
wait. No. In the control room, they're saying it. No, it's a misnomer. It was a moment with Michael
Oh,
Berkowitz.
that's better.
That moment has passed. I can't confirm that your wife and daughter are in the control room. I can't confirm or deny that they want you back as quickly as possible. But the moment's over, Michael. Thank you. But very good point on this first one. Easy unblock if you remember it. This is a very good hand because this, Michael, is Drury check. Drury check. Do you remember it? The robots make it easy for you on this hand because they bracket it. This is why it's really nice if you're learning bridge bidding, even if you're not going to get any of these right or some of these. Just notice when they highlight it in red, it's something funky. And you should notice you've opened a heart in fourth chair. And in this spot, the 2 club bid just says, hey, partner, I have a heart raise, basically. And here they have quite a good heart raise.
We mentioned before we got on our friend Robert Todd that Rob has to be Rob Barrington because Robert Todd is
I
Robert
changed
Todd.
my name down here. Robert Todd has the Robert locked up, and
And
yeah.
Robert Todd has a good Drury rule, which I like, which is that there's no bidding Drury in the first round until the coffee is kicked in. No Drury, which I think is maybe a good rule.
Yeah,
But
man, I would forget it though probably half the time. Just,
uh,
but did you bid game here? Did you make a game try? Did you do anything
no,
different than I did? This looked
I
terrible.
did nothing different than you did.
Exactly.
I think it's important for us to note that South opens one heart in fourth seat. I would open the South hand in any seat.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and I think Rob would too. But even if you're not someone who would open this hand in any seat in fourth seat, there's a bunch of different things we can think about for whether or not to open. And one of the ones that's very popular is called casino count. Rob, did
Yeah.
you ever play
No,
casino?
someone asked me this and someone said, "What's this casino kind of go?" I have no idea what you're talking about. Like I use the garden variety rule of 20 and then some. So I follow that pretty religiously.
I used to play casino with my grandmother. Uh,
It feels like that's just shady to play casino with family members. It feels like you're
it's
getting it's teaching gambling. It's bad.
Yeah, and I confess I have to refresh myself on the rules of casino. But anyway, spades are important, and the idea here is that we add
So, oh
our.
no. We're talking the same thing. The rule of 15.
Well, you
Does
said
that
rule of
casino count?
20. That's okay.
No,
Casino
no.
count is the rule of
Sorry, you
15.
said any seat, and now this is our partnership misunderstanding, Michael, of the week.
Okay.
So
Where's the graphic for that?
the rule of 20 is perfect in any chair, but in fourth chair, yeah, I teach or I think the casino count is the rule of 15.
It is
Total
the
high
rule of
card
15.
points plus the total number of spades. And honestly, it is very important to understand why. It's because the score you would achieve by passing is zero, not percentage based. You just lock up 0 points either direction. When you open with short spades, the opponents can conceivably control the level that gets bid to, which means if they go plus, you just lost the board that you could have just locked up a 0 point score there. Yeah, that's how much I know casino count, Michael. I never heard it called that more
Yeah.
than twice or three times. But yeah, you just play a nice, tasty two hearts here, and if I remember correctly, the robots did a lot of work. I had a chance in an over trick though. Did you get it
You
here?
you do have a chance at lower track. I did not.
You
I
have
just
to
missed it.
you have to really go for it and take a diamond finesse, and here it is. They actually cash the ace of spades. They play the king of clubs, and we draw some
Yeah.
trump.
Well, once they play the king of clubs, you have a real problem.
Well, at some point, you can just take a diamond finesse when you're in your hand and go for a club pitch. I didn't have the guts
But
to do it,
you're
Michael.
risking it's like a
You're
50-50.
risking an under trick. It's a match point. It's a classic match point decision that I didn't have the guts for and didn't feel like I needed it at this point, even after that disaster aboard one.
And and I wouldn't expect anyone to have very many different auctions because you have an 11 count and your
Yeah.
partner makes a game try. It doesn't feel like you're supposed to accept it as a opposite of past partner.
Well, the only time you have a
Um,
different auction is if you fail the Drury check. The Drury check is very, very important, and that's why I grinded a lot of bridge base hands when I was learning how to bid again. A lot of opportunities to get things right and wrong, especially if you're not paying attention to those alert buttons.
and just cashing out our tricks, I think you got 65%. I got so it's the same thing.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's worth risking it for.
for maybe well, I mean, it would
I mean,
probably
it's
it,
just
it'll
an
be
under.
interesting. What will 200 be? Is and did Johnny Hurd go for it? He usually does. Um, I, I guess like 90ish. If you
Well,
made
but the
five,
problem is if the finesse loses, then you're
you're getting
taking then
2%.
if you're only making two, right?
Yeah, yeah, because you lose that and then an extra trick on top of it, I believe. So the
Yeah,
finesse you
you
took.
lose
So
the diamond and the club. So
yuck.
it gets a little.
I'm not a risk taker, Michael. That's why I just play poker.
Hmm.
You'll never see me playing one of those casino games. uh, I considered opening one no trump for a brief moment with the south hand here, but Michael, it was brief, and I said to
Okay.
myself, I'm going to be normal, and I'm going to be doing normal stuff, And I was rewarded with just this magical walk into one no trump. It is
Yeah,
perfect. Uh,
totally normal.
the one thing I want to talk about in the play for everyone's benefit is that diamond suit. Just to possibly intuit a bad break, or the only one that you can really handle unless you see a card right away when you play an honor, is to play the diamond from the side that has two of the honors first. If you discover a bad break, or more to the point, if you discover it after this trick by leading back to your hand and the diamonds are breaking badly with East having them, you now have a finesse you can take for all of the tricks. One of my
And
students
the end
calls this
position is worth
divorced
discussing.
couple. Yeah, well, we'll see it in a second. I was going to get to the point.
Fine. I didn't mean to rush you while you're
No,
talking
no,
about
this
it.
is a
This is a
super
very
cool
good thing to
hand.
talk about.
Well,
It's very good to talk about the right technique to play the diamond suit.
and it's also the really important part of playing low level no trump contracts is to not be afraid at the end or even in the middle of a hand to just give up a trick and let the opponents kind of deal with what's going on. So the best strategy to start with on this hand, at least for me, Michael, was just to play a bunch of diamonds. I'm worried about spades. I don't know how many tricks I'm going to take, and I have 7 in the offing right off the bat. And now when I see this heart pitch, I'm not saying you can count all these, but if you were paying attention, you would know that you can safely cash the ace of hearts without creating a trick for the opponents. And now comes the point where you just exit. And if you do this successfully, if you just play a spade here, they have nowhere to go but to help you in some sort of fashion at some point, right? So here, this is the guess. You could get this
Was
right or wrong. And the
yeah,
robot,
West Robot aired
by the
in
way,
their pitching.
the robot is so good. This is why it's good to play against robots. They're going to really put you to a guess, right? So a normal human being would probably play the king of spades, and some people might even play the queen of clubs and just not even give you a decision here. Here, just make you guess at least. And here they actually give you this trick because they can see the writing on the wall, and then that's 8 tricks. Do you have the same run out there?
I had the same exact
And you exited
play.
a low spade, and they pitched down to the same exact thing, I'm sure,
They did
because
the exact same thing. I
they're
like
beautiful
robot
robots.
consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's weird though. You play like the 7 instead of the 6, and they might do 6 different things. So luckily, I haven't seen that in a long time though. But this was good enough for 89.4. So I think a lot of people just struggled with that extra trick. Oh, I guess there's a lot of plus 90s on this, wouldn't you, Michael?
Yeah, really important to hunt those extra tricks.
I like that.
And there was nothing that you're giving up, right? You've basically cashed out your tricks.
Right. You're hoping for an extra trick. If it happens, great, and if not, you took as many as you were going to take on this hand, and that's just securing the 7 and going from there. We're going to talk a different tack on board 6, same tack but scarier. Board 7, I mean. But let's look at board 6 first. I made a help suit game try. I'm curious what you did here. Did you do the same? Did you bid?
We are on the same
Ah,
page.
yes, Michael. I love it. So this was a hand I was really looking forward to talking to you about because it is such a good spot to discuss these weird competitive auctions where you and your partnership might not understand, well, is 3 hearts, is that invitational or is it just competing? In these situations, there's a clear cut spot, right? 3 hearts would just be, hey, I'm competing always. And essentially anything else is I want to invite in some sort of way to play game. And here was just a natural game invite for me. 3 clubs. What do you think? And partner kicked it in, amazingly enough.
And I think it's again worth mentioning that this is not one that everyone would find because you do only have 14 high card points and your
Right.
partner has a simple raise. But shape is everything.
And shortness in their suit is also quite tasty, usually.
This hand has not gotten worse from the auction for sure, right?
Right, exactly. And this is a nice way to just differentiate. Hey, partner, I am not just willing to compete to hearts because we both know we're playing hearts, right? This is not a, hey, let's try here. No, it's, hey, I'm interested in furthering our conversation in hearts. Can you play? And honestly, nice bid by our partner there, I
Yeah,
think.
I think it's an interesting choice.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they really are at the top end, and the ace of spades can't be bad for them, right? It might be a little wastage if we're void, but that's not the worst thing either. And this isn't necessarily the easiest hand to deal with play-wise. They make it easier by leading hearts at some point, but here's how I went, Michael. I won the ace of spades. I fired a club right away because I want to draw trump, but I also want to get a club ruff in the dummy to try to set up clubs. And here's where I'm not away just yet. I'm not away just yet. Thanks for checking, though. There's my 9 of hearts, and they ducked it here. So I just won, and now I
And
just
I did
played
the
a
same
low
exact
club,
things.
and we had a little rough-a-doodle-doo, and then I just kind of set up my hand, essentially, here. So at this point, I exited a spade. I rough low. I could have drawn trump here, but I let a club, and they just played the queen of
Yeah,
hearts.
I was trying to figure out what the right play is in that
Yeah,
position.
from this point right here, Michael.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got to the same point and I decided to play for hearts to be splitting
So,
because I felt like if they are 3-2 and you play the club, you're sort of forfeiting a trick.
yeah, but are you always? Aren't you? Well, sometimes. I guess it kind of just depends what they shake out at the very end. I felt like this was kind of just a safe 10 tricks, but you're right. If
Well, you were going to be in trouble in this position. So let's say it was queen and one and a small singleton.
yeah,
You were going to be in trouble
I
because
have
you're
a
going to get
yeah.
trump tight.
There's also there might be a weird guess if they just lead through something at the, or
Yeah,
just
so
a
they might
maybe
just
a Trump
play.
promotion actually.
Yeah, let's say they roughed it with a small one and then played king and a diamond. You have to exit ace and a heart now, and you're letting them win
I don't
an
know.
extra trick.
A lot of times I also hope that just the robots do weird stuff and help me.
And they could have
That's
been
usually
leading from like
nice.
queen third or something. And so I did spend a long time
Well,
studying it.
I didn't think it didn't feel like the queen was to my left at that point.
I don't blame you.
That's for sure what was in my head when the 9 held. So, but also you're right. It is weird that East would just surrender a heart from that position because it looked like we certainly wanted to get Russ, but was it going to be that worth it to lead away from that? Who knows? I don't know.
So I cashed my ace of hearts and
And
happily
realized
gained
the
an
10
extra
tricks as well,
trick.
right? He said Queen.
11,
Oh,
11 tricks because the queen of
whoa.
hearts.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. You actually got no. Did you got to elope with your 10 of clubs? I'm sorry. Yeah. So same
Yeah, my 10
position.
of clubs.
You got. So wait. What was that percentage there?
That was worth 94%.
Oh yeah. What'd you get on board 7 though? Because this one was my time to shine, my friend.
That board seven, I took my 52% and moved on to the next board. Let's talk about it.
All right. So another two suited hand. By the way, I played two client sessions yesterday. And I couldn't believe the hands I was getting. I think I played North both sessions.
Oh yeah, who'd you hire?
I was, I hired your dad, obviously the best, and your dad and Larry for half the time. But I think I had a 6-6 hand starting off in the majors, and then I proceeded to have 7-4 twice, I think, and then 6-5 once again. And the next side was just a crazy hand, but this felt like I was deja vuing because another two suited hand. We open a spade. Our partner, I would game force with this hand, Michael. I wouldn't. This 3 diamond bid seems exceptionally heavy with the singleton ace of spades. I would probably just bid 2 diamonds and try to play 3-0. But what do you think with the robot's choice here?
I think it's close. I'm not sure which thing I would do. I do not hate this three diamond call. I tend to be a little bit wimpier. And
Yeah,
one thing that I think is important when you're evaluating this type of hand. So first of all, if you were playing some kind of Bergen raise, obviously you don't have this bid.
sure. Now you're kind of you don't want to bid a no trump with this hand and play one.
And you don't want to bid a semi-forcing no trump in particular.
Yeah.
So you might bid two diamonds just as the least of all evils.
I mean, you might
But
just be cold for 6 clubs on a hand like this. So, I mean, I like just at least
I don't know.
getting something started at a lower level.
Yeah, two diamonds definitely gets the auction going in the right direction, which is why I think Rob said that he wanted to bid three no trump here because he doesn't trust the robot's hand
God,
evaluation.
I hate it though. My singleton ace of hearts is just like in my face saying, "Don't do it, Rob. Don't do it." But I couldn't resist, Michael. You're
And
right.
I
It's too
confess,
good.
I just passed three diamonds because I don't have the right hand to bid five diamonds, even though I do like having
Did you get a heart rough
some
and
extra
dummy?
shape.
Did it go queen of hearts to the ace, spade to the ace, rough, king of spades?
Yeah, I was a wimp.
Oh man.
I did not go for the gusto here,
All right.
which
Well,
is taking multiple diamond finesses.
here's
Anyway, let's talk about let's
here's what
admire your
here's
result.
what going for the gusto looks like. I mean, and honestly, I at this point I'm like, oh man, Michael's gonna crush me on this board because, or honestly, I thought you would have been in the same spot, but
That they found a heart lead is unfortunate for
that
you.
is the key. That's the thing you're hoping to. You're just hoping they do anything but lead a heart. You don't even hate club to the ace heart, right? Because at least
Well,
maybe they've done some work for you.
you
This
knew
is
it
the
was normal
worst.
for them to leave. They have a 9 card heart fit.
I know, but God,
You
man,
know they're gonna have at least a
they're the
9 card.
robots, man. Sometimes they have a beautiful
And,
fourth best lead and they lead top of nothing or something.
and
So,
this time they happen to have a 10 card heart fit. But
oh man,
they
and
you
East,
knew
look at
from the
East's hearts.
auction that they had a 9 card heart
All
fit.
right, so at this point, my chances are done. Now, I want you to recognize that even if all the diamonds come home, which we can see they won't because the King of Diamonds is third here, excuse me, but if they all come home, I have 6 diamonds, the ace of spades, and the heart that I've just took. That's 8 tricks, Michael. That's 8 tricks. So if you're in 3-0 Trump and you know you've done poorly, you go for the gusto. So
You rate these videos as not for children, right?
here's my diamond finesse.
Because no,
Hey, hey, hey,
this is
hey,
not
don't
safe
crater
for
my
children.
search engine rating. No, I have to mute you now. Don't. There's going to be some bot in there. Beep, boop, beep. Oh. We can't watch.
Yeah,
Um,
this deal is
well, let me tell
pornographic.
you something.
Uh,
Robot went beep, boop, beep here in a bad way because at this moment, I'm like, all right, step 1, the diamond finesse worked. Step 2, let's prepare for success. Michael, if you're going to go for it, you prepare correctly for success. So you cash that ace of spades, you get rid of that spade, and you
sure.
lead that low club, and you're like, I double that. I have hearts. I'm not worried about hearts at all, my friend. Keep those hearts coming. So they hop queen, thank you, and then boom, I have convinced them. I've convinced them. Jedi mind trick time, and that is how you make 12 tricks in 3-0 Trump, Michael. For 97.1%, as our friend J Law would say, read a book. Read a book. This is how you play. Um, but yeah, as you can see, I want you to show the double dummy. I am down 3 from any reasonable line here. Hey, let's here we go. Still down 3 and still down 3, and there goes that heart. They just didn't do it, Michael.
Yeah. I think that as a matter of principle, I I think it's right to pass 3 diamonds. Um,
I I
I
I
mean, we
think
know Trump is the hero bid. For sure, it's the hero bid. And Rob is a hero. He's
no,
my
no,
hero.
I
I love
think
him.
in normal bridge sphere, I think you're right. Passing 3 diamonds is way more often going to be your best choice. But with the robot and their questionable evaluation, I think in a lot of these spots, I think we talked about this earlier. I always trend towards the more aggressive, just to bring in their lack of amazingness.
I can't argue with your results on this board.
I I mean that's falling in a dumpster fire of manure and coming out without the biff. And then
I do
this,
think you deserve a down 4,
by
but
the
I
way,
think it's
this easiest hand of the day, right? They just handle this for you. Your partner opens 4 spades, and that's why I'm assuming you have the same result, 54% making 4.
yeah.
And that's all there is to it, right? They open 4 spades. You're happy to put this dummy down, knowing that it's a best hand tournament.
And you
And
don't have the interest in going anywhere higher for sure.
exactly, the one key thing here is that I'm maybe having the dream of not taking a diamond finesse at some point, but it's a pipe dream, unless there's some sort of weird thing going on. But here I just kind of took a diamond finesse to get it over with, and then the hand just
Oh,
is
in mine, they
done.
forced me to take the diamond finesse earlier, but
Oh,
yeah,
really? Well,
same general idea.
got it. Yeah, I mean, you eventually just have to take it for am I making an extra trick or am I not? But that's the easiest hand to bid of the day. 4 spades, check it down, and making 4. What was your total? What was your provisional now? This is
70, 71.5.
oh, so yeah, your first board and your 6th board were compensating for my
Your
stupidity on board 7, my brilliance on board 7. Thank you, Michael.
I don't know why the robot played the Queen of Clubs. I'm
I
not
don't
going to argue.
either.
You were
Well,
great. You
especially
were
no.
great, Rob.
Not only did they play the Queen of Clubs, but then I think it was Sue preference saying, "Partner, I'm getting this out of my hand, so you know that I have all these hearts. Let's dance, partner." But disappointed. By the way, I have disappointed you personally at least this much across the table from you at bridge events, and vice versa. I'm sure. I don't remember any of your bad plays, but I'm sure they existed at some point.
They definitely existed.
Well, thank you for the help again, Michael, and thanks for joining. And don't forget, folks, you're going to see a lot more of this from me, especially in the coming weeks. But this is, as always, brought to you by our river cruise, Michael, our chartered river cruise that is every bridge player's dream on the Danube. Do
If you think it's fun to hang out with us here when we're talking about bridge, it's going to be twice as fun when we have a couple of beverages with us.
Yep.
Uh,
And also with that beautiful background, it makes our faces more palatable, actually, on the Blue Danube. So, and that's what the blue background is here to remind you of. So, don't forget, folks, if you want to join us on that, there are details everywhere, and they are always in the description below. But don't forget, you can also play in this event every single week for free. Get your licks in, and then watch the video afterwards and see if you beat us, which the way I run frequently can be the case. So don't forget, sign up once, play forever. And Michael, I will see you again for another run at it next week, buddy.
All right. See you next week.
Take care, folks.